Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. My name is Victor, and life has taught me that some moments only come once. They don't pause for second chances, and when they pass, they're gone. I decided to propose to my girlfriend, Whitney, one night. We'd been together for 2 years at that point, and even though things weren't exactly perfect toward the end, I really thought she was the one I was going to spend the rest of my life with. When I say I loved her, I don't mean in the way people casually throw that word around. I meant it. I made sacrifices. I made plans. I saw a future with her. And when I started thinking about proposing, it wasn't just about asking a question. It was about doing it the way I believed she deserved. See, a while back in the relationship, Whitney once made a joke during a conversation. I don't even think she knew how seriously I took it. She said she would never accept a cheap ring from a man who claimed he loved and wanted to provide for her. Everyone laughed. Even I laughed. But deep down, it stuck with me. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense to me. I mean, how can you claim to love someone, say you want to build a life with them, and then not even try to make that moment special? Not even try to match the seriousness of the commitment with a proper symbol of it? So I got to work. Literally. I had a job at a small but promising tech startup. I wasn't raking in millions or anything, but I was earning enough to live decently. I had bills, obligations, but I carved out a chunk from every paycheck and put it aside. Month after month. I went 5 months cutting back on things I enjoyed just to build up enough to get a ring that I felt would make her proud. I found a beautiful diamond ring. Probably a lab-grown, I'm not gonna lie, but it looked amazing. And for me, diamond is diamond. What mattered was the intention behind it. That whole time, I kept imagining how her face would light up when I opened that ring box. I thought about what it would feel like to finally call her my fiancée, to seal everything we'd been through together with a promise for the future. In my mind, this proposal wasn't just a step, it was the moment. And I wanted it to be one she'd never forget, for the right reasons. Well, I just realized I should have paid more attention to the shift in our rhythm. For the past month, maybe 2, things between me and Whitney hadn't felt right. I couldn't put my finger on one big event that caused it, but it was like trying to have a conversation where both people were speaking different languages. We weren't seeing each other as much. We used to spend weekends together, but all of that started fading. She was suddenly too busy, too tired, too distracted. Initially, when I noticed all these, I tried not to panic. I chalked it up to stress or work, but as things didn't get better, I started asking myself if I had done something wrong, or if I wasn't enough. But after one of her close friends got married, this was about 2 months ago, I felt I'd figured out the answer. She was at the bridal shower and the wedding. She came back with stories and pictures, and at first, it felt like she was just happy for her friend. But soon after, the change in her became more obvious. She started making more comparisons between our relationship and the relationships of her married friends. Some subtle, some not so much. I'd hear things like, she's the only one not engaged or married among her friends, or talks about men who are not ready to settle down. Comments like that started slipping into conversations more frequently. It felt like I was being measured against other men who had already locked down their women with weddings, flashy rings, and grand gestures. Still, after all the signs and doubts, I had this hope that the proposal might fix things. Maybe she was acting distant because she felt unsure about where we were going. And if I gave her the security of a future, it would bring us back together. I thought the ring might be the bridge between where we were and where we used to be. But deep down, I also knew I was taking a risk. So I picked one of her favorite places, this cozy little restaurant she always loves. I told her I wanted us to go out for dinner there, and she agreed. That alone gave me a little hope. I remember thinking, maybe she's been waiting for this too. I didn't tell anybody. Not my friends, not my family, not even my best friend. I wanted it to be quiet, just me and her. I didn't need cameras or a big crowd clapping behind me. This wasn't about putting on a show for the world. It was about giving her a moment that was pure. I didn't even practice what I'd say. I figured when the time came, the words would come straight from the heart. The night finally came. She showed up looking beautiful, like always. We ate good food, laughed a bit, and for the first time in weeks, things didn't feel tense between us. The energy felt lighter, like how we used to be. I didn't know if it was just the comfort of routine or if she was genuinely enjoying the evening, but I chose to believe in the moment. After dinner, I told her I wanted us to take a walk, maybe stop by the park nearby. It's a quiet place, peaceful, and I thought it would be the right setting. She agreed, again. That only strengthened my resolve. I thought to myself, this is it. This is the right time. We got to the park and walked for a bit. The lights along the path gave the place this calm glow, not too bright, just enough to see her eyes and expression. Then I stopped walking, took a breath, reached into my coat pocket and got down on one knee. I looked up at her and asked her to marry me. I held out the ring I'd saved for. But she didn't smile. She just froze, took a step back, like I'd caught her off guard. At first, I thought she was just shocked. Maybe she didn't expect me to be so serious. So I stayed there, on one knee, waiting. But seconds passed, and more seconds. And with each one, my heart beat louder. It felt like time was punishing me. Then she finally spoke. No. She said it so gently, almost like she didn't want it to hurt, but that didn't make it hurt any less. In fact, it made it worse. It meant she wasn't confused. She had made up her mind. She stepped even farther back, after that, to make things clear. This was rejection. I didn't want her to see the damage she'd done. So I stood up slowly, nodded, and tried to smile. I turned around, walked away, without another word. I didn't look back. The park wasn't empty. A few people had seen what happened. They were quiet, just watching. They probably felt bad, or they didn't know what to say. I didn't care. I didn't care who saw me or what they thought. My pride was shattered. I walked out of that park with my heart in pieces, but my back straight. When I got back home that night, I didn't say a word to anyone around. I shut the door behind me and dropped my keys on the counter. My chest felt like it had been split open. I headed straight for the shower, hoping the water would calm me down or at least distract me. Maybe if I stood under the water long enough, it would wash the pain away. I didn't even bother adjusting the temperature. I just stood there, letting the water run down my face while my mind spun in circles. I couldn't stop thinking. I kept asking myself what I missed, what I did wrong. Nothing made sense. The more I thought about it, the worse it got. I started to feel like I was going insane. I've never been able to put into words what that night did to me. It was like I had this hole inside me that nothing could fill. When I got out of the shower, I just wrapped a towel around my waist and walked to my room, then collapsed on the bed. I kept reaching for my phone every 10 or 15 minutes, hoping to see a message from her. I wasn't proud of it, but a part of me was still hoping she'd say it was all a misunderstanding, that she panicked, that she was just caught off guard, that she didn't mean it. I was hoping she'd call and laugh nervously, say something like, I'm terrible with surprises, and ask if we could talk. But nothing came. I must have stared at the screen until I passed out from exhaustion. The next morning was a Saturday, but it didn't feel like a weekend. I woke up with this weight on my chest, like grief had been sleeping on top of me. I didn't even want to get out of bed. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to open the blinds. I just lay there, letting the hours pass without meaning. Around noon, I heard the ping of my phone, the first message since last night. I opened it, and it was from Whitney's younger sister. She said Whitney had told her everything. She heard what happened and felt terrible about how her sister handled it. She apologized on her behalf, said if I ever wanted to talk, I could call her anytime. I didn't respond. I appreciated the message, I really did, but at that point I didn't want to talk to anyone, not even someone being kind to me. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. The tears wouldn't come. It's hard to explain. It's like I was too hurt to even let out properly. Inside, I felt like I was crumbling into pieces. Nothing made sense. And the silence was just making it worse. Then, a few days later, the call started. People I hadn't spoken to in a while started reaching out. All of them were asking if I was okay, saying they'd heard what happened. I didn't understand at first. I never told anyone I was planning to propose. Not a single soul. I didn't even tell my closest friend, and I definitely didn't tell family. I kept it private because I wanted the moment to be just between me and her. So, how the hell did they all know? That's when I found out. Turns out Whitney had told people. Anyone who asked her about me, she apparently told them. Oh, I rejected him. He proposed, and I said no. I don't know why she felt the need to share it like that. I don't know what she was trying to get out of it. Attention? Sympathy? To humiliate me? I don't have answers. And maybe I never will. But what I do know is that it made everything worse. What was once a private heartbreak became a public embarrassment. But even with all that, I didn't lash out. I didn't go online to rant. I didn't start telling my side of the story to anyone who would listen. I kept all in. Not because I'm a saint, trust me, I was angry, but because I knew nothing I said would fix how I felt. I was just trying to get through the day without falling apart. So, to cope, I did the only thing that made sense at the time. I threw myself into work. I started clocking ridiculous hours at the office. Anything that kept my mind from wandering to the thought of her in someone else's arms. But the truth is, no matter how long I stayed out or how many to-do lists I crushed, the nights were still long. That thought alone could shatter me 1,000 times over in one night. I was running from grief, not healing it. I knew it deep down, but I didn't want to stop moving long enough to let it catch me. Weeks passed like that, and I realized something even more painful. I couldn't even talk to my best friend about it. Not fully. I didn't want the look. As a man, heartbreak still feels like something you're supposed to shrug off. Like it's weak to admit you're hurt. But I wasn't just hurt. I was crushed, confused, and starting to feel like I was losing pieces of myself. That's when I decided to try therapy. I didn't want a group. I wanted someone grounded. So I found this older guy, a retired counselor, someone who'd seen life from all angles. And talking to him, it felt like exhaling after holding my breath for weeks. He didn't judge me. He didn't try to force silver linings down my throat. He listened. And when he spoke, it made sense. We worked through everything, the proposal, the silence that followed, the shame, the betrayal, the obsessive thoughts about her, and this new man she left me for. He gave me simple mental exercises. Ways to interrupt the spiral when it starts. Techniques to redirect the emotional storm so it didn't consume me. For the first time since that night, I felt like I was slowly getting my power back quietly. The heavy fog I'd been walking through started to thin out. That's when I knew I was finally facing my pain instead of running from it. Feeling a bit more grounded, I did something I hadn't expected myself to do. I reached out to Whitney's younger sister. She had sent me a message days after the proposal, telling me how bad she felt about what had happened. She apologized for her sister's actions and said I could reach out if I ever needed to talk. At the time, I didn't reply. Not because I was angry, I just didn't have the strength to engage. But she kept checking in now and then, sending short, kind messages that I quietly read without responding. When I finally reached out, the conversation was warm. She's a good person, genuine, the kind of person who doesn't say kind things for attention. She just means them. And it wasn't about romance or rebound or anything dramatic. We got close. And it made me wonder how someone so grounded and kind could be the sister of someone who handled things the way Whitney did. I guess that's life. People are individuals, not extensions of their family. When Whitney found out I had gotten close to her younger sister, it was like something snapped in her. Out of nowhere, she called her sister up and gave her a warning, told her to stay away from me, that it wasn't right. I wasn't even there for the call, but her sister told me everything after. I was confused. What exactly is the problem? Her sister had shown me more genuine care in those few weeks than Whitney had in the last few years of our relationship. She didn't judge me. She didn't mock my pain. She didn't try to twist the story. She just listened, checked in, and sent the occasional, "How are you doing today?" text when she didn't have to. That kind of human kindness isn't romance. That's just being decent. So for Whitney to come at her with so much rage when she had no business left in my life was wild. It didn't add up. But it started making a bit more sense after I had a deeper talk with her sister. That's when she told me the part one hadn't known. Whitney had left me for someone else. I didn't know his name, and I didn't ask. But apparently, That relationship ended too. And not in a graceful way. The guy had been cheating on her constantly. That's what her sister said. Now, I don't say this with pride, but hearing that didn't bring me joy. It didn't make me feel vindicated or triumphant. If anything, it just made me even more certain that I'd dodged something deeply toxic. Maybe Whitney lashed out at her sister not because we were close, but because it reminded her of what she threw away or what she lost without even realizing it. Either way, I didn't let it get to me. Her sister and I made a quiet decision. We'd ignore her warnings. We were adults, and we weren't going to let someone else's regret or bitterness dictate who we could or couldn't speak to. And I thought that would be the end of it. Weeks later, right out of the blue, she reached out to me through a message. She said she was sorry. Said she regretted how things ended between us. Said she wanted to meet up and talk about things. I didn't reply immediately. I wasn't really sure what to feel. That evening, she sent another one, this time more direct. Asked if I was home. Said she could stop by and make me my favorite meal. It felt like emotional bait. Like she was dangling familiarity in front of me, hoping it would pull me back in. But I wasn't that man anymore. I wasn't about to throw all of my dignity away for leftovers from someone who didn't choose me when it mattered. So I responded, calmly and clearly. I told her not to message this number again. And then I blocked her. Just like that. And I didn't tell her sister either. Because why bring unnecessary weight into something that was finally feeling light? I'll be honest with you, what happened with Whitney left a scar, and it changed how I move afterward. And in the middle of all that darkness, the one surprising source of light came from someone I didn't expect, her younger sister. It meant something to me. It still does. Now, let me be clear. There's nothing romantic going on between us, at least not now. But she's become a good friend. And to be honest, if somewhere down the line that friendship turns into something more, I wouldn't fight it. Because she's got a beautiful soul, and after everything I've been through, I've learned that kind of thing is rare. You don't force it. You let it grow, naturally, if it will. So that's where I leave it. I'm not broken. I'm not bitter. I'm just walking forward with people who want to walk with me. And for the first time in a long time, I'm okay with where I'm heading.